these, please?
Wow, iPhone 17s. You splurged.
At T-Mobile, you can get 4 iPhone 17s on them. The new center stage front camera is amazing for group selfies. It's the perfect gift for everyone.
I'm the worst. I only got my mom a robe.
Well, it's better than socks.
So I have to trade in my old phone, right?
No, at T-Mobile, there's no trade-ins needed when you switch. Keep your old phone or give it as a gift.
Incredible.
In fact, wrap up my old phone too for my Aunt Rosa. Forget that. Aunt Liz will be jealous.
Sounds like my family. Drama.
Oh, I got it. I'll give it to my abuela. I'll take reindeer paper with, hey, where are you going?
To T-Mobile!
The holidays are better at T-Mobile. Get 4 iPhone 17s on us, no trade-in needed when you switch. Plus 4 lines for just $25 a line.
With 24 monthly bill credits and 4 eligible board-ins on essentials for well-qualified customers. Auto pay plus taxes, fees, and $35 device connection charge. Credits end in balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us. Finance agreement 256 gigabytes, $830 required. Visit T-Mobile.com.
250 years ago, a promise was made to connect families and friends near and far. And during the holidays, that promise is more important than ever. That's why USPS is building a better network to meet your needs with timely deliveries, easy and affordable ways to ship, and everything you need to make your season full of holiday cheer. Our purpose is delivering your peace of mind, knowing your love will arrive, bringing joy to all. The United States Postal Service. Learn more at USPS.com/holidays.
Been counting the days, wondering, will they bring it back? Wonder no more. The legendary McRib has returned. We're talking tender, boneless pork, smothered in that unmistakably tasty McRib sauce. It's a flavor experience that never sticks around for long. And why stop at just the sandwich? Make it a meal with any size soft drink for just $1.69. But don't wait. McRib season is short, and once it's gone, it's really gone. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Elevate your kitchen at the Miele Innovation Center at Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill. Out of your dreams and into your kitchen. Select the qualifying built-in kitchen appliance package that is right for you. With unrivaled technology and luxury-grade quality, when you bring home a Miele, you're bringing home true innovation. Now, for a limited time, save up to 10% with the purchase of a qualifying Miele kitchen package. Visit the Miele Innovation Center at Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill or at friedmansappliance.com.
Comcast Business is celebrating the holidays by giving your business the $1,000 holiday bonus when you switch to a gig speed internet package. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 12, a new laptop for the office holiday hero. Or possibility number 108, smart speakers to deck those hallways. Or possibility number 192, new equipment for the new year. Or possibility number 555, Bluetooth holiday lights for office decor. Switch to Comcast Business, designed for 100% reliability with business internet and wireless connect, plus advanced cybersecurity, and now get the $1,000 holiday bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 12/14/25. New customers only with 2-year agreement. Requires qualifying gig package. Other restrictions apply.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
On the golf tee, it's Skechers World Champions Cup. Watch it live December 4th and 5th on ESPN and ESPN Plus, 12 to 4 p.m. It's PGA Champions Tour golfers from all over the world. Team USA versus Team Europe versus Team International. Watch it live December 4th and 5th on ESPN and ESPN Plus, 12 to 4 p.m. The competition will be tense, but feet will be comfy. Tune in to Skechers World Champions Cup. Final round of golf on Sunday, December 7th on ABC, 1 to 5 p.m.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten
All right, what is going on, everyone? Evan Giddings with you live from Chase Center, getting you set for Golden State and Oklahoma City. The defending champion Thunder are in town tonight, and they carry a 20-1 record here into Chase Center against a Warriors team that has been up, they've been down, and the last time they played this Thunder team, they got absolutely hammered. It is going to be a tall task for them tonight. 8 o'clock tip, a late one on NBC. Obviously, all ahead on 95.7 The Game. Tim Roy's got the call for you, as well as the remainder of the network pregame beginning at the bottom of the hour. And no Steph Curry. Does anybody give the Warriors a chance, I think, is the biggest question in this game tonight. The Oklahoma City Thunder have been rolling, much in the way that the Warriors used to roll. And so a lot ahead to kind of break down as we get along here on Warriors Live, presented by Xfinity, your home court advantage brought to you by Xfinity. Watch all your favorite teams all in one place. Xfinity, imagine that. Well, I think before we go any further, we have to kind of talk about what just happened last time these two teams played. In my opinion, one team was in kind of a similar place, and the Warriors, meanwhile, were in a very different place. You got to rewind all the way back to a few weeks ago during that road trip in which Oklahoma City absolutely mauled the Golden State Warriors on November 11th. Remember, that was kind of on the heels of a loss at Denver, a loss at Sacramento. They got the quick home win against Indiana, but they weren't looking great. That game was tied against the Pacers in early November, I should say, middle of the third quarter. And so Oklahoma City was kind of the end of, well, really, that first kind of, I don't know if it was sputter. You know, the Warriors at the time had lost 4 of 6 going into that game, and they just came out flat, did not have it. In that game, they lost 126-102, and that was the last time that Jonathan Kuminga was in the starting lineup. At least, you know, the next game he went out with a knee injury midway through that game, but Steph Curry played in that game. It didn't seem to matter. And so I think a lot of people are sort of looking at this game tonight like they don't really have a chance. And it was kind of interesting to see the way that the Warriors responded after they played the Thunder. That was 10 games ago when the Thunder were only 11-1. But that was the game where Draymond Green talked about agendas in the aftermath of that 24-point whooping they were handed. Jimmy Butler talked about the commitment to winning. And those sort of post-game locker room, I don't know if you want to call it call-outs. I don't know if you want to call it, messages from the captains, from some of those leaders. They've been getting a little more frequent, but that's where it started. And the Warriors were about 500 then. They were 6-6 after that loss. They went on to pick up a couple of victories in San Antonio. We felt like they were turning the corner, and boom, they've lost 4 of 6 since that point. So kind of a similar situation heading into this game at the tail end of a 5-game homestand that tonight, if they win, it's 3-2. If they lose, they go 2-3. It would be ultimately disappointing considering how they had some momentum in that road trip, and then now at the end of this homestand, an elongated homestand, by the way, because they've had 5 games in 12 days, they have not been able to make up much ground, or at least, again, make us look at them different than a 500 team. If they lose tonight, that's exactly what they are again. They'll be 11-11, a place they've been at 6-6, 9-9, 10-10, and will it be one on, one off again? We're going to find out tonight. But I think that's what a lot of people expect, because not only are the Warriors a little bit different, they don't have Curry tonight. While the Oklahoma City Thunder do have some injuries, they get perhaps their second best player back that we did not see the last time that they played the Warriors, and that's Jalen Williams. And J-Dub, Jalen Williams from Santa Clara, for those who are fans of the NBC broadcast, J-Dub was ultimately one of the biggest reasons why they hoisted a championship last year. Even with a hurt tendon in his wrist, which is what caused him to miss the majority of the start of this season, he had a 40-point game in the finals, averaged 20-plus points on that playoff trip, again, to a Game 7 victory against the Indiana Pacers. And so they'll have Chet Holmgren tonight, they'll have J-Dub, and obviously they'll have the reigning most valuable player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So I think this is obviously going to be a tough task for the Warriors ahead. One notable name that is not in the starting lineup, or two, I should say, Lou Dort, who was also not available the last time they played the Thunder, didn't seem to matter. But the other one is Isaiah Hartenstein. So a little lack of size tonight, I think, should make things a bit easier for Golden State. But again, you're without Curry. And so I think the biggest question is, do you even give the Warriors a chance tonight? I think a lot of people are just wondering if they can cover the spread. I mean, that's the kind of conversation that it seemed to me like walking in, talking to some people around Chase Center. That was the conversation that was being had. And I thought it was interesting that, listening to Steve Kerr pregame, listening to Mark Dagnall on the Oklahoma City side, the two head coaches, a lot of the conversation is very headed towards the future, right? It's focused on what's ahead, what the Oklahoma City Thunder are trying to accomplish, what the Golden State Warriors have accomplished. And it just had me sort of walking down memory lane because, the way that people are talking about both of these teams, it reminds me of the way that people used to talk about the Warriors, right? In 2015, 2016, when that team jumped out to a 24-1 start, when at one point they were 53-4, and that was after the Curry double bang game in February of that year in 2016 in Oklahoma City, of all places. That was the team that was trying to bid for history. And I think this Thunder team absolutely has a reason to believe that they can not only win 70 games, but potentially challenge the Warriors' 73-win regular season all-time record. And that's because of how dominant they looked, the defense that they've played. And I would say, at least having watched a decent amount of their games this year, and a couple of the ones they played recently, they've played close contests, but this Oklahoma City team, what reminds me about the 2016, or kind of the connection, what brings to memory a connection between the two teams, is almost the workman-like approach with which Oklahoma City goes about their business. That Warriors team was, yes, known for the three-pointers and for the Splash Brothers and, a young head coach, and they were coming up the championship, and they were kind of taking the league by storm with how they revolutionized the game. That's true. But they showed up every single night with intensity, with energy, and even some nights which they didn't have it, which is difficult to do over a 6-month season, as we repeatedly get beaten over the head with now in 2025 because of the age of this team, is no matter what time of a game it was, that team could turn it on. And this Thunder team has that kind of quality. They showed it a bit last year during their 68-win season, but for many people who don't remember, they did not have Chet Holmgren for a large portion of the season last year because he was out with a hip injury that he, by the way, sustained early in the year against the Warriors. So that was a team that won 68 games for the better part of the year, not having their second or at the very least their third best player, and certainly one of their very impactful bigs. So, to me, Oklahoma City absolutely has reason to believe that they can challenge for the Warriors' record and certainly aim for that 70-win mark. I mean, they are by far and away the best team in the NBA. And the conversation, which includes the Warriors, at the beginning of the season, to me, was never about are they in the class of Oklahoma City and can they beat that team. It was, are they in that second tier? And that's something, unfortunately, I don't feel like we can talk about at this point because the Warriors have not shown, yes, in a stacked Western Conference, and yes, if you want to talk about the schedule and what they saw coming out of the gates, I think this homestand has sort of confirmed for me that right now we just can't talk about the Warriors like they're in that second tier. I thought a couple of games into the season after they beat Denver, a couple of wins in San Antonio perhaps made you feeling like that team was one that could make some things happen in the West. But it feels so much different than from a month ago when this team was, or a little over a month ago, I should say, when this team was 4-1. They do have Jonathan Kuminga back tonight, the Warriors do, which should be a plus. Jimmy Butler is expected to play in this game. But to me, it's all about how you're measuring yourself against the best. And without Curry, it's just such an uphill task. It seems hard to believe that this is a Warriors team that could beat Oklahoma City. And I think really the question is, how close can they keep it? Can this be a game where in the third or the fourth quarter you're looking up at the scoreboard and you're seeing this, all right, the Warriors are with striking distance, maybe they could catch Oklahoma City at kind of a weak portion of their season, right? I mean, this is an OKC team that if you look at it right now, they have the best net rating in the league, one of the best net ratings in NBA history, by the way. They're scoring 122 a night. They're giving up 106.7. The next best defensive group gives up 110. So they're almost 4 points better. In fact, they are 4 points better than the next best defensive unit in the NBA, and that would be the Boston Celtics. So Oklahoma City, what they're doing is unbelievable. But the last time they played, a single-digit win against Portland on the road. At home, a 4-point victory against the Suns that was in the balance. Prior to that, a cup game, 8-point victory against Minnesota. This hasn't been a team that's just been blowing out groups left and right as of late. So, if Curry was playing in this game, I actually might like the Warriors in this one. But without him, it's kind of a foolhardy decision to believe, at least for me professionally, to say the Warriors are going to win this game. To me, this is, again, a measuring stick type of game for them. If they somehow win this game, I would be floored because of how good the Thunder have been. And again, it just has me kind of walking down memory lane with how the Warriors used to be back in 2015 and 2016, because that was personally my favorite team. I know that was the team that didn't win the championship. The year before they got it, the year after Durant comes, they win 67 games, they run the table 16-1, put together probably one of the best teams in the history of basketball. That's all well and nice. But to me, the 2016 team was the most enjoyable group because they had, confidence, continuity, cohesion, chemistry, and it was all homegrown for the most part. I realize Kevin Durant took them into a different stratosphere, especially when it came to playing in the postseason, which is where it matters. But night in and night out, to watch that team do what it did, again, I talked about it earlier, it was workmanlike, but with a joy that was just so much fun to watch. And seriously, it didn't matter when, but just but when they were going to run the table. Games in which they were down 10 in the fourth quarter, they would just snap their fingers and be right back at it. The Warriors patented 9-0 runs. It just felt like 3 stops, 3 threes. They completely flipped the momentum of a game. The transition triples that they would take, the defense that Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala would play, Andrew Bogut. That was a group that made me really fall in love with basketball and kind of opened my mind to what the NBA could be when being played at the highest level. But one thing that I thought was interesting, listening to Steve Kerr earlier today, him talking about, he was asked about what it requires to win that amount of games, to do what OKC is trying to do. And again, they're in the relative infancy of it. They're 25% way done, and they've done a damn good job. They're on pace to break the record. But the Warriors were also on pace at 24-1. They're also on pace at 53-4 and sputtered a little bit down the step. In fact, that team, looking back on it, they did not lose a home game until April 1st. That's unbelievable. That was the 76th game of the season. The first home game they lost was a 3-point defeat to the Boston Celtics. And they were looking like they might be the first team to go through an entire season in NBA history and only lose no home games. They ended up losing 2 because they also fell to Minnesota a couple games later. But again, what they did, it's confounding when you look back on it, and to me doesn't necessarily get the credit it deserves because it was a regular season, and it was a regular season award. And in fact, the Warriors are probably the team most responsible for the diminishing of the regular season because they made it look like a joke. It was tough to tune in and night out and just realize that this team was just going to absolutely run the table on most evenings. In fact, I think that's why a lot of people are bored a bit watching Oklahoma City. To me, it's less about the playing style of their best player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander than it is they just make every other team look beneath them. And that's what the Warriors used to do. That's why I loved that season. And I think it's ironic that 10 years later we're talking about a team in Oklahoma City that is trying to do something similar now a decade later, in granted a different era of modern basketball. But again, when listening to Kerr, what was required of that team? When he was talking about it, there was a lot of unspoken understanding. They didn't discuss going for a game. He was saying until they played the Minnesota Timberwolves in March. No, sorry, it wasn't March. It was the game they actually lost in overtime. He had played the starters heavy minutes, he said, in the first half, was thinking about maybe easing back, and Draymond went up to him and said, "We want to go for this." And to be fair, they did. They won the last 4 games of the season. They beat the Spurs, the Grizzlies, the Spurs, and the Grizzlies. And they won 73 games. But for the majority of the year, there was this unspoken understanding that what they were trying to do was just win every single night. And it was just one game at a time. So again, the kind of blue-collar workman-like performance that a team that it will be remembered for the three-point shot and revolutionizing the game, encourage unanimous season and all the rest. The third quarter dubs, that was a time in which I think it gets lost a little bit. And I've just been kind of going down memory lane thinking about it with Oklahoma City. The other thing that Steve Kerr really talked about and kind of emphasized was the lack of agendas. And that is something that I do feel the Thunder share with that 2016 group for the Warriors. There are very few agendas on the Thunder. In fact, it's probably a reason why they seem like they're so boring. I mean, they don't have a Draymond Green, right? They don't have Curry, although Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would be their version of that. But, they do their post-game interviews together. They're still relatively young. They didn't throw a massive celebration last year when they won the championship. They didn't talk bleep. Their best player is kind of a mute at times, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander appears to be the consummate professional. Like, they don't have that exuberant energy, along with the fact that they play in Oklahoma City, that makes you feel like there's some, budding big brand that's ready to take the league by storm, but they've just quietly gone about their business and done it. And I think a big reason for that is there are zero agendas in that locker room. Interestingly enough, the last time the Warriors played the Oklahoma City Thunder, that's what Draymond Green was most concerned about. He was concerned about the Warriors' agendas. And I think they have bigger problems than that. I think that this team is one that lacks talent, obviously, and pales in comparison to the team across from them. I think a lot of times when you're not winning games and you don't have the talent and roster that you're looking for, you kind of point to things off the floor and things outside of the game and frustrations that begin to build because you can't come to grips with the fact that your team just isn't good enough. And unfortunately, that might be what we find out again tonight. I'm hoping the Warriors just show some fight in this game because it's one that I believe that you can't say that they're going to win, but it's one that I think they have something to prove. And again, on the end of this homestand, before they got a 3-game roadie, and then a little bit of time and a little bit of break, I think this is a game where some of the veterans, as well as some of the young guys, anytime you got the defending champs coming in, you gotta be up for these kinds of games. Not just the fact that it's 8 o'clock on NBC; it's a nationally televised game. You got to be up for these kinds of games. All right, tonight's injury report is brought to you by Boxer & Gerson, Northern California's premier workers' compensation law firm, helping injured workers get their lives back for over 40 years. For more information, visit boxerlaw.com. A little bit of a list for the Thunder, who do not have Alex Caruso tonight. That's impactful. He's one of their best perimeter defenders. Lou Dort, also out tonight. Defensive Player of the Year candidate last season for them. And Isaiah Hartenstein. So 3, I would say, rotation players out for them this evening. Obviously, the difference between the last time these two teams met, Jalen Williams, 20-plus point game scorer, all-star last season, and a big part of that championship group. He is going to be playing tonight for the Thunder. As for the Golden State Warriors, we know Steph Curry is out. Also, Al Horford remains out with sciatica. But Draymond Green's playing tonight. Jimmy Butler, who was questionable coming into this game with a left glute contusion, took a hard spill over the weekend. He is available for this game. Steve Kerr said he was just shooting around pregame, kind of testing things out, but he is all good to go, and he is going to play in this game, and they're going to need him. DeAnthony Melton, meanwhile, is very close to his return, expected to return sometime during this road trip, which begins on Thursday and then is through Sunday when they head to Philly, along with Cleveland and then Chicago. So looking forward to his return and seeing where he sort of fits in, and hopefully is also along the same time that Steph Curry comes back from his left quad contusion. That was the injury designation for Steph Curry. So, again, I think this game, I think it's about figuring out just how much the Warriors can fight with this group. I think that this is a game where Golden State shows kind of what it learned from the first time they met. And every team is different, and to me, the Thunder just absolutely blitzed them the first time that these two teams met. They forced turnovers. The Warriors did not look comfortable whatsoever, and I think the biggest difference in this game is going to be ball security for the Warriors. They turned the ball over 20 times in that game against Oklahoma City. Kuminga had 5 of them. He's now coming off the bench. Moses Moody is into the starting lineup. Draymond Green had 3 of them. Curry had a few. Trace Jackson-Davis had 6 of them. I think that was a little unfair, but the point is they had 20 as a team. So ball security is going to be ultimately, I think, what I'm looking forward to tonight. Do they take care of the ball? Does that allow them to get better shots? And really, does that stop OKC from doing what it wants to, which is playing fast, playing with pace, playing in transition, and getting, like it did the first time they met, virtually whatever they wanted when they shot 51%, 44 from three-point range, and got to the free throw line 31 times. So last game, they also turned Shai Gilgeous-Alexander into a little bit more of a passer. I think the Warriors showed that last season, in order to beat the Thunder in a one-game scenario, not saying they can do it in 7, but you almost want Shai to not be as dynamic of a passer. I mean, he's going to do everything for him, as well as play defense. I think that's an underrated aspect of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's game, which people do not give him credit for. But the Warriors won last year here at Chase Center. Granted, they had Curry. They won last year here at Chase Center, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went for 50 points. It was one of the more impressive displays offensively that I've seen. He scored 20-plus in the first quarter, did everything he wanted. It was sensational, but they didn't allow anybody else to get going. And by the time that he had cooled down, no one else was hitting shots. OKC wasn't in the rhythm. I remember Dagno talking about it after the game and saying that the fact that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had gone for that amount of points may have kind of cooled off the rest of the squad, and their sort of rhythm, their chemistry was just completely off. So I think that might be the strategy for the Warriors tonight, actually turning SGA into more of a scorer than a passer like he was last time. All right, as for our Take It to the Bank prediction, brought to you by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises. I like Moses Moody to bounce back tonight. I got him over 2.5 threes against the OKC Thunder tonight. He has not been shooting very well. His last 7 games, he's been shooting 25.8%. I think that this is a game where he's gotten the volume. He's taken 5+ threes, 6 out of the last 7, but they just haven't gone in. I think this is a game where tonight they are going to have a lot more length on the floor to defend him, but I think Moses is going to find a shot here tonight. Not sure it's going to make a difference, but I think that he is going to knock down some threes. So give me 3 3-pointers for Moses Moody tonight. All right, well, coming up next for us here at 95.7 The Game, we got Tim Roy on the way. Remainder of your network pregame here on 95.7 The Game, along with The Call, alongside Tom Tolbert at 8 o'clock. I was about to say 7 o'clock. I'm already tired, and it's only 7:30. So we'll have you for Warriors postgame, Warriors wrap-up after the game, after the Golden State Warriors take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Can they knock off the 21 Thunder? Tall task. Can they make it a game? That's what I'm interested to see, and give the Thunder a run for their money. We'll have your post-game reaction after this. In the meantime, we send it off to Tim Roy. You've been listening to Warriors Live with Evan Giddings, presented by Xfinity. Your home court advantage, brought to you by Xfinity. Watch all your favorite teams all in one place. Xfinity, imagine that.
Ready for your next adventure? Welcome to San Francisco International Airport, your getaway to the world. With over 130 nonstop destinations worldwide, SFO offers seamless travel experience